But I made a what do you call it? I made another killer concept on the forums for Miss Gruntilda, the witch from Banjo Kazooie. Because I had in my mind, I was like, Gruntilda as a killer. I wonder how that would be. So I'll give you an idea of what I had going on here. Put this on there real quick on me. I just put this on. Okay. I also need to web browser do that. Okay. This might be big, by the way. Oh no, that's perfect. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Hello, Banjo. Yeah. So it's basically for Gruntilda the witch. This girl right here. A really old character made in 1998 when she first came out. Or when she was first introduced, I should say. So there are some things that I did mess up here and I missed and I forgot to put in. So yeah, they basically put Gruntilda the Witch Killer Concept as a title. Basically call her the Witch because I don't know what else you could call her. Because you can't call her the Hag because already we have the Hag in the game. So yeah, her height would be tall, movement speed would be 4.6, the terrain would be a normal 32 meters. So the killer bio I put, Gruntilda has always been nothing but pure evil in her lair. When she learned, to understand a little bit, it's like overpowering. We'll do that. Try that. Okay. There's nothing but pure evil in her lair. When she learned she's not the prettiest one, and learned it was Tootie, she was determined to be the prettiest one ever. Grunty goes to kidnap Banjo's sister Tootie to steal all her prettiness, but is foiled by Banjo and Kazooie, and Grunty fell from the top of her lair and was stuck under a boulder for 2 years. Grunty was then freed by two of her other sisters, but realized all her skin had rotten away, and now she was nothing but bones. All Grunty cares about now is revenge against the bear and bird that did this to her, while also trying to get back to living flesh, but was foiled once again by Banjo and Kazooie, and awaits once again to get revenge. Though she remembers being defeated, she wakes up in a new realm in her full body and sees there's other survivors out there, or out in this realm, that she would enjoy doing some damage to, and all that would be heard is the evil laugh of Gruntilda in the distance. So yeah, that's basically like the bio I came up for her. How she would get taken if she would get taken by the entity. So yeah. So her power. Now just a heads up, there's a bit of thing here that I should have specified in some of this, so just a bear warning. I forgot to specify some things. The witch's power is curse, orbs, and trivia. Gruntilda has learned many tricks from being a witch. Unleash her power with curse orbs. With this power, Grunty can throw orbs and give survivors random effects depending if they're healthy or injured. Oh, excuse me. If a survivor is hit with a spell, they will scream knowing knowing you've hit them, giving them an effect. If healthy, the orbs can give the effects of blindness, exhausted, mangled. I shouldn't have put because I forgot that someone told me you don't get mangled when you're healthy, so I probably shouldn't have said that. And possibly rare chance to get exposed. When injured, the effects would be broken, deep wound, hindered for a short amount of time, so you're not like slow consistently, hemorrhage, and oblivious. These effects will disappear on the survivor once they get hit. So basically what I mean here is that like when they get hit, so let's say you're injured, right? Let's say you're blind, right? You're blinded by that orb. They just toss it out. Well, then she gets hit. Well, you're gonna lose that effect, right? Same with exhausted. So you wouldn't get like a sprint burst if you're exhausted or something like that. Well, you wouldn't get the sprint burst perk. You get the sprint burst from getting hit, but you wouldn't get the sprint burst perk, or you wouldn't get like overcome or something like that, you know? Because you'd be exhausted, but when you get hit, you're just gone. You know? I think that doesn't. Okay, I messed up the logic. That sounds weird. Yeah, I kind of messed up this whole point of the hit part, but yeah. I guess I should have looked into that maybe more with the But yeah, different effects basically with the power. Maybe the hit thing shouldn't exist, but that's just what I got. I mean, I guess I tried to make it unique, and I wasn't really fully thinking, so I guess yeah. Gruntilda also has another orb that'll be charged over time, which will summon an orb that will lock onto a survivor while in chase and travel towards the survivor to injure them. Survivors can avoid this orb if they duck and get behind cover before it hits them. If they avoid it though, the orb is revealed for a short amount of time, so like for amount of time was like 3 to 4 seconds basically, or something like that, 3 to 5. Yeah, this orb basically, as someone commented down below saying like, shouldn't you have like a false scratch mark or something? I'm like, that sounds more reasonable. Yeah. So here's one. Here's an interesting one right here. When the last gen finishes, Grunty will have a trivia question lined up for you at the exit gate. If the survivors answer correctly, you get a good spell. Well, a good spell will be set upon you. This could either be all survivors get a small haste speed, open exit gates quicker, or get the endurance effect for a short amount of time. However, if you get the answer correct, you end up giving the witch more power, or by hurting the whole team by giving the witch random effects, such as an orb that locks onto a survivor that will travel through walls, haste, exposed, or undetectable, or by giving the survivors bad effects. These effects being hindered for a short amount of time, or all orbs revealed, increased time on opening the exit gates, or escaping the trial being blocked for a short amount of time. So, excuse me. Yeah, this one's kind of controversial, but I should say with like the questions, like trivia, because she does trivia stuff in the games if you play Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. He basically gives you questions like what happens throughout the game. So I thought like, oh, okay, maybe like DVD questions, you know. So it's like, who is like, for example, like who's your fifth? If you have all the killers, who's in the 5th slot in the killer roster, you know? Like if we look at like the entire roster, who's in the 5th slot of it? Because then you think like, and they give you options to choose. So you can have like Trapper, Doctor, Huntress, or Leatherface, you know? And it'd be Huntress, because Huntress is in the 5th spot. So like something like that basically. Nothing like something like that super hard. Like they're like, oh, what event took place at this time of year? Like who's gonna remember that? Unless you're a hardcore DVD player. But also, she would also have some trick questions too. Like, because Grunty likes to play unfair with her questions. So basically, like, they would ask something that she has done in her life, basically, or something in her lore of the killers, or of the of her lore when being brought to this realm, you know. Because in the game, she usually has questions that's about her. So it's like, let's say like, what did I do to get into this realm, or how did I get into this realm, or what was I doing when I got pulled into this realm? How many times was I defeated? You know, something like that. So yeah. Perks. I try to make these as unique as possible. So share your looks with beauty. After knocking in a survivor, all boons that are set up will be reverted back to hex totems and cannot be blessed for 60, 70, or 80 seconds. I think maybe I went too a little extreme on the seconds, but the what do you call it? When I say hex totems, I basically mean that like if you're carrying a hex, like in my mind I'm saying like, oh, if you have a hex totem and it's gone, that boon will get reverted back to that hex totem. I should think about this more because yeah, not all killers are gonna bring in a hex totem. They bring in beauty. That the perk's useless. So yeah. And this guy right here, I should get to him soon. He suggested that I should make it for one person only. So that totem would be blocked for the one person that placed the boon totem, rather than the other survivors. So I thought, like, okay, that's a good idea. Send more curses out with the Scourge Hook Witch Inversion. After hooking a survivor on a Scourge Hook, all survivors have a blurry vision and their movement is inverted for 20, 22, 25 seconds. I think it's a little extreme again. I probably shouldn't have done that. Maybe like up to like 5, maybe like 5, 8, or 10 seconds about this. What it should have been, maybe. My mind just says like I'm gonna give like a lot of power to some killers, but it's just like I realize I gotta like think outside the box too, and like balance between both sides, you know. So yeah. Achieve a full power with Witchcraft. After sacrifice a survivor, the killer's power is fully recharged. It's fully charged and activated. However, will not combo with the add-ons brought. Will not combo with the add-ons they brought in. So yeah. Basically, what I'm referring to is like, I guess, because some of these killers is kind of weird. So like, let's say a trapper, you get another trap spawns and set maybe. Let's go like that. Or wraith, like if you're cloak, well then you decloak. But yeah, it's a little weird, I guess, on some points. I'd have to rework this perk because it's kind of confusing with this. But yeah. Set curse spells and torn with the Gruntilda chapter in Untitled Chapter. So yeah. But this guy put in so he put in the power for his opinion. I kind of like his opinion on a bunch of stuff. Fires projectiles and inflicts stats. Okay, well he's talking about the thing, so he's like an excellent idea with that. So yeah, that's cool. But he puts hitting. I understand like the explosion, because in the boss battles they explode. So you know, if they near the explosion or if they get hit, then they get the effects. As you said, moving Mango, I like, yeah, I agree with that. I forgot about that. Only really getting a location on them, which is fine, but maybe switch hindering in the other list. I thought, yeah, that's a smart way of like switch Mangled for hindering. I think that'd be a better idea. Foon. Likewise, effects disappear and this by being hit. Now here's a blatant contradiction. Why does the hindered effect have a stipulation for time, but nothing else does? See, what I was going with hindered here is that I didn't want that to be like, because they basically if you get like a full hindered for the entire time, you're gonna get caught super easily, you know. That killer, she'll catch up to you pretty quickly. That's sort of like, okay, maybe I won't make this permanent, because hindered can change it pretty drastically, you know. So that's why I didn't do that. Deep wound, well, yes, that effect is there and it's fine, but what this is maybe I'm like, yeah, deep wound probably remove it, because yeah. A few tweaks in there, yeah, I agree. The second orb he's talking about, so the numbers on this are missing entirely, but let's work this out. So yeah. After an entire amount of time, second orb appear and follow the survivor and helmet. Well, I don't say it doesn't appear, but it's just like, or maybe I did place. Did I say that? Second orb. Crush orbs into the. Oh yeah, I didn't say it appears. So basically, like, she summons it. Basically, that's what I'm basically trying to get at. She summons it. It doesn't appear. She just summons it. Whether it's a wall survivor is irrelevant. Yes, and he did. I was basically like going off of a killer spotlight trailer, but I think he did say that too. Yeah, he was like a spotlight video. So yeah, I wrote it like a spotlight video. So yeah. So I like this one. Maybe follow scratch marks as he said. Yeah, that's a good idea. I should have thought of that. So they take a damage. Yep. Thing is, well, it's probably gonna be like a medium-sized orb or something. I don't know. I don't know how big it would be. However big it is in the game, whatever it is, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh my god. Excuse me. Trivia. So this is something that is very unique. There's a lot to unpack here. Yeah, there is. So he has like what type of questions and do the players have to solve them? So the questions are basically, as I said, Dead by Daylight style questions, like what helps with tunneling, what what killer is called Insidious Face, maybe something like that, basically. Which licensed killer is named a shape or something like that. So basically something like that, basically. I said basically a lot right there. But yeah, something like that. Nothing like too difficult. But yeah. Buff survivors of haste, yeah. Buff to Grunty, yep. Nerf survivor. Could also nerf survivor, yeah. God, do they have to solve another? No, they don't. I probably should have specified that. You don't need to solve it again. You don't need to solve it again. I should have specified that, but I didn't. I forgot. Yeah, no, you don't have to solve another question. It's only once. Now, a different survivor could do it. If they haven't touched the door, they could do it. But, they don't want to then. Well, no, they'd have to do it, yeah. It's basically like you have to answer a question here, basically. That's what I have anyway. Maybe like they could deny if they want to, but I have to like, yeah, you should probably do it, you know? Miserable and exposed is fun, but to keep it fair, make the question about the current trial number 2. If the players are the ones answering the questions. Yeah, but okay, so he puts like in the current trial. That's gonna be kind of like, I guess you could say like a question about the map and which killer comes from this map or something like that. But it's like you could do like how many totems on this map, how many hooks on this map, how many pallets on the map or something. I don't know. I guess something like that. Yeah, that'll make things questions. Killer powers. I did the game with the killer power in question for Gruntilda. I did a cold tower game anyhow. Yeah. Hey, Perks, this is where the criticism will be a bit harsher, so yeah. And I was expecting, like, yeah, Perk's always, like, you know, questionable. Please survive in Dynasty by any means, causing all boons. By any means, yeah. Causing all boon tones to become hex tones and cannot be blessed again for, yeah. So first, what do you mean by hex tones here? Like, I guess in my mind, as I said, I thought the, like, carrying a hex totem in. I should have changed that. Actually, his suggestion was good though. Have the entity block the totem. Okay, so first, what do you mean by hex totems? If it means inverting hex of the boon, okay. Which yeah, that's a good idea. Invert the boon. The only thing I want to say is maybe have the entity block the turn totems for less time than currently isolated or currently stated, and only the boons associated with that survivor. So that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Suggested change description, putting survivors in giant state by any means causes totems blessed by that survivor to become hex totems. With the inverse effects of the original blessing, this totem becomes blocked by the entity for the next 40, 50, 60 seconds. Yeah, that's good. That's more balance, I guess. Convert totems still count as active boon perks for a survivor, meaning a survivor cannot boon another totem with while beauty is affecting them. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good change for it. Scourge Hook. After hitting survivor and Scourge Hook, all survivors suffers from blurry vision. Their move is inverted for it. Yeah. Fun, but please no. This is a weird one to work with. But by blurry vision, I assume you mean Clown's a toxic effect. Yeah. It's a very moving control for that long. Personally, I'd limit the movement version to at most tier 3. Yeah. Okay. Maybe tier 2. Tier 2 would be like 5 seconds, and tier 3 would be 10 seconds. But really, there's very little wrong with this perk, just a personal preference. So yeah, that's his preference, basically. Witchcraft, yeah. What does this mean? Must be about these weird combo thing like Trapper. Does he generate a new trap? Or have a yeah, I kind of messed up on this. So like, change log, make this a hex and make it appear once the survivor sacrifice to the entity. Increase the effects of add-ons by 10. 20 to 30%. So like the effects of the add-ons increase, and I'm like, okay, that's a more reasonable one, I guess. The order of the totem is shown to survive for 3 seconds after 20 seconds. Fairness change, trust me, is needed. Yeah, I can understand that. Make sure you recharge the power every time a survivor is hooked after the totem activates. Because this means, yeah, instead traps become active. Yeah. I'm not gonna go through this, but yeah, you can pause it and you can see what all this. So looks of a steel Lloyd, that's a lie. Yeah. That is a lie. What do you think? Yeah. So here's suggested perk description. As Heckman Survivor, if there is at least one dull totem remaining to the trial, Hex Witchcraft. So he turns into a Hex totem. Like, okay. I see what you're going with this. Activates on a random totem. Witchcraft is active. Add-on effects are increased by 10, 20, 30%. Every time a survivor becomes a killer specific ability. Every time a survivor becomes hooked. After being active for 20 seconds, the orb of the totem with Hex Witchcraft applied to is revealed to all living survivors for 3 seconds. I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good idea. For the balanced perks and power in the game, so these kinds of things often become projects in and of themselves. Take all these changes, however, you please, and don't overthink anything I've said. Nah, we're good. We're cool, man. We're cool. Look at future Endeavors. Am I saying that right? I hope to see more of this. Yeah, so in that page, we were like, yeah, I like the concept. I should have specified a couple things in the pose. So yeah, that's something I should have done. And like, you know, if he wants more of this, well, I do have a dead hand concept as well from Ocarina of Time. But yeah, that's a little concept for Grunty that I came up with. And I guess this guy specified and changed a few things. And I kind of like his changes, actually. His changes are actually pretty good. Yeah, that's for Miss Gruntilda, if she would ever get in DVD. She most likely will not, which is a little unfortunate, but it'd be cool because we don't have a witch yet in the game. And I'm not counting Michaela. I'm not gonna count her. I'm referring to Killer Witch. We don't have a Killer Witch, and she's a Killer Witch. So yeah, we're gonna Grunty. If you can get in, that'd be cool. Behavior, contact Microsoft and Rare, see if they give it to her. Probably won't, but hey, that'd be cool. It'd be cool. I'd like to see it. I would like to see it if that would happen. It won't, but as I said, that'd be cool.